Today, there are 2 million descendants of French-Canadian immigrants living in New England. These are our stories. Welcome to the French-Canadian Legacy Podcast.
Venez tous jeunes filles et garçons, je vais vous raconter l'histoire de notre immigration ici au USA, de grands aventuriers, de pays étrangers.
Bonjour everyone, this is Melody with French Canadian News. We've got a short one today, but you won't want to miss these re-emerging podcasts and events for Mois de la Francophonie. We'll start with the latest post on the Modern Francos blog titled Cultural Costume Trends That You See at French Canadian Winter Festivals. I highlighted this post in the last news segment, but seeing as it's Mois de la Francophonie, maybe it can inspire you to create your own Le Costume du Voyageur seen at French Canadian Winter Festivals. So check it out for costume inspiration from the past and present. Next up, we have Patrick Lacroix of Queer the Past hooking us up with free online books about Franco-American history. So here are 5 studies of French-Canadian migrations and Franco-American communities. Lacroix states that together they form a strong, reliable starter pack for people looking for a point of entry into the topic. Check out the post to start reading. Moving on to podcasts, Franco-American Pathways has a new episode up. Episode 8, Franco Folk with Cindy Larac. Larac is a Franco-American who grew up in Lewiston, Maine. She has been actively involved in traditional music and dance from Quebec to Maine and all over New England for over 40 years. Maple Stars and Stripes is back with a new episode, Lesser Used French-Canadian Resources at Ancestry.com. Continuing this series of helpful resources, check out how you can find more information for your French-Canadian family tree. And now on to events. On March 2nd from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, check out this event with Alliance Française titled Perspective Louisiana, a bilingual conversation with Joseph Dunn. On March 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern, check out this Museum of Work and Culture Valley Talks titled In the Beginning, Origins of the French-Canadian Exodus, 1826 to 1861, a talk with Dr. Patrick Lacroix. On March 8th from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., join in a Pret-a-Parler event with Freeform Francais at Hancock Library. On March 9th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., join in on Teen Pret-a-Parler with the Manchester Franco-American Center. On March 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern, check out this talk about Les Mots de la Francophonie and bilingualism with Dr. Kathleen Stein-Smith. That's all I've got for you this time. Everything I've covered today will be linked in the French Canadian Legacy Podcast episode description. Merci for listening.
So this week's episode is an episode I probably should have had quite a bit ago. People have been asking me about it, asking when I was finally going to talk about KMG Foods. It's a great new business putting together mix that allows you to easily make your own tortilla or pork pie, or as I like to call it, and like this is named, which is way fun, torquay. Now they also have bean mix coming out. It's going to be just amazing business. So you can enjoy kind of those flavors that we all grew up with at home without having to wait, spend 6 days making it. Fun conversation that I was able to have with the founder of KMG Foods, Kristen Gagné. So you're going to hear all about kind of her experience growing up, how she went from living in Maine to now owning this business, and where she kind of is exporting some of the flavors that we all grew up with. And it's a really fun chat. I think you guys are going to really like it. You're certainly going to really like the product. I know Mike and his family have used it and they say really good things. So again, next podcast, we're speaking with Kristen Gagné, founder of KMG Foods. And I noticed too on your webpage, which is kind of fun, you posted, it was on your Facebook page, that you posted a David Vermette article about, kind of what we call ourselves, which I thought was super neat. I mean, it's a conversation we've had a bunch of times on this podcast. We've had David Vermette a couple of times on the podcast. We're going to have him again. Hopefully he's an amazing person. That blog, especially the French North America blog, is a big reason why this podcast even exists, for sure. Just a super interesting topic. So I'm curious, what did you call yourself? You and your family, what did you think of? If a kid in the neighborhood asked, what are you? I'm Irish, what are you? What would have been your answer when you were growing up?
Franco-American.
You would use Franco-American, really?
Yeah, it was something that we've always used. And my meme too would always talk about it, and very proud that she was French Canadian, Franco-American. So it would always be kind of both of those things, right?
Okay.
Like, I'm French Canadian, Franco-American. Yeah, that was basically it. And she would always talk about a lot of discrimination that she felt growing up. And I thought, a lot of it was just, well, you didn't have a lot of money and maybe people, but no, like legit discrimination against a lot of the French Canadian immigrants that came and immigrated over. And I mean, even the KKK, there's pictures in our town where they were there, really not liking the French Canadian Catholics that were there. So, a lot of people, you hear about the KKK, you hear it's all race-based, right? But there's just so much more to it. And to be Franco-American and to be French Canadian descent, we would always say that too. I'm of French Canadian descent, but Franco-American at the top.
That was it. Okay, yeah, because it was just bizarre because that was the term, and David's written about it, that I never knew until I ended up on the board of the Franco-American Center here. Like Franco-American was not the term I grew up with, not a term my parents had ever heard of. We were all just French Canadian.
Oh,
we're a French Canadian family.
Now our fathers look at us and sigh with despair, to think that everything they love we simply do not share. But the spirit never dies, our culture will survive. Each of us must choose how much to keep alive. Each of us must choose how much to keep alive.
Special thanks to Josie Vachon for providing the music. You can find more about her at josievachon.com. This podcast was produced and edited by Mike Campbell. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at fclpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FCL Podcast for more information about the topics discussed. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to this episode.